Tolkien never stated, for example, that elves have got pointed ears. That's the Jackson movies that have told us that.
Stop. That's actually Jackson.
Yeah, that's Jackson.
Sauron se considera a él mismo como el amo de toda Tierra Media. La conquista no es la única forma en la que pretende gobernarla, sino también doblegando las mentes de todos sus habitantes.
Well, first of all, the Lord of the Rings fans are very, very passionate and waited 2 long years for this season. But I wonder, how do you manage so many pressure and expectations from everyone around the world? I think it's very tough, right?
Yeah, it's a good question, because I think obviously the writers are going to take that on, first of all, that pressure, and then you as the actor. And I think all the sportsmen say, it's a privilege, not a pressure, or at least you're in a position where you're feeling that pressure because you're in the right spot. And like all things with art, I think you can only tell your version or your interpretation of Tolkien's great classic, what it means to you on an individual basis, and from an acting perspective that you put through that character. How you interpret Tolkien's view or vision of Elendil, how I then interpret what JD and Patrick have written, and how, for example, Cynthia and I will bring that as much as we can to life in a moment between us.
It depends the way you look at it, you know.
Yeah. If you look at it like that,
yeah,
I want to cry.
The thing is, of course there are expectations because it's a Lord of the Rings series. But the expectations of the stories that we're telling that have never been told before, other than by Tolkien, but in some cases, for example, Celebrimbor's story is very lightly sketched in Tolkien. So I think people's expectations are as much as mine were, i.e. there's a story waiting to be told. There's no template to follow. So I kind of put expectation to one side. I don't think it's helpful. And we are telling original stories and original versions of those stories. So I think in terms of meeting the Lord of the Rings high bar for extraordinary scenery, battles, drama, etc., I think the show does it tenfold. But I try and put expectation at bay, is the short answer.
Todo esto puede ser parte de su designio. Estos anillos pueden hacer que obtenga poder. Deben ser destruidos.
Hablaremos de los anillos una vez que respondas mi pregunta. ¿Quién es ese hombre?
Many fans keep comparing Peter Jackson's movies to this series, characters, stories, special effects. But what do you say to all of them? Especially now with this new season, I think not only brings new adventures and characters, it also expand this universe.
Yes, it definitely does expand the universe. Because, as I said, there are stories that haven't been told before. The aesthetic of you have to, to make this Lord of the Rings TV show, you have to acknowledge the aesthetic of the Peter Jackson movies, for example. Elves have got pointed ears. That's the Jackson movies that have told us that.
Stop. That's actually Jackson.
Yeah, that's Jackson. Or that is a perceived elf version of an elf, perhaps before Jackson, but Tolkien never said
and
it.
long hair as well, or is that sort of Tolkien?
Long hair is sort of, it's debatable.
Because I think
people get very worked up about that stuff. Yeah, exactly. But you always have to go back to the books.
Sauron rules the world with rings, but if Sauron were alive in this year, what artifacts will he rule the world with?
Well, rings are pretty good, aren't they?
But let's
okay,
away.
Play the game.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Let's play the game.
I'm being too literal with this.
A shoe?
Rule the world with a shoe.
Yeah.
How is he going to do that?
Gift him some nice leather espadrilles. Wow.
And how's he going to rule the world with those?
Well, in the same way he rules it with a ring.
But what, by putting on the pair of shoes?
Yeah.
That's
not work
remotely.
All right, so we're going back to a phone. We're going back to a phone. He's going to rule it with a phone, is it?
In order to rule with shoes, surely everyone else would have to wear shoes. He'd have to own a shoe factory.
Yeah. In the same way he makes the rings, he makes the shoes. So he'll make a very, very delicious, leathery shoe.
Or he could be like Willy Wonka and have a chocolate factory. Infuse the chocolate. That's
a really good way.
You infuse the chocolate, sell it worldwide. You infuse it with his evilness,
Yeah, his,
and then he can control. The chocolate becomes totally addictive, and they keep having to come back.
Control the kids and control the parents.
Exactly. I mean, it's already happening in the world already. For heaven's sake, look at Haribo.
now you're saying this, but imagine again a shoe that has a real nice arch
I don't
support.
think we should stick with the shoe thing. I don't think
Is that not
really-
going to
I
go?
don't
Because
think
imagine if you get good arch support, right? So you're walking and you're floating, and everyone goes like,
I
"Oh
think we
wow!"
should probably move on from
All
the
right.
shoe idea.
All right, chocolate.
It's a bit of a non-starter.
chocolate Wonka. Yeah,
Chocolate and shoes.
yeah.
Chocolate
The end
shoes.
of the game.
Chocolate shoe. End of the game. Chocolate shoes. End of the game.
Courtney, shoot that bean!